أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توغا وتمتعه فيها طويلا اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. It is the Wasiyyat of Amirulmomineen Ali alayhi salatu wassalam to his son Imam Mujtaba alayhi salam, and part of the Wasiyyah was recited, and yesterday it was mentioned that فَأَحْيِ قَلْبَكَ بِالْمَوْعِظَةِ. Imam gives these contradicting commands to the heart, that is, you revive your heart by maw'idah, that is giving lessons to it, preaching. وَأَمِتْهُ بِالزُّهْدِ, you kill the heart with piety. قَوِّهِ بِالْيَقِينِ, you strengthen your heart by yaqeen, and that is the belief you have, by certainty. نَوِّرْهُ بِالْحِكْمَةِ, you enlighten your heart with wisdom. And today he says وَذَلِّلْهُ بِذِكْرِ الْمَوْتِ. ذَلِّلْهُ means you tame your heart. You tame your heart, you disgrace your heart, that is by reminding it of death. وَقَرِّرْهُ بِالْفَنَاءِ, وَقَرِّرْهُ بِالْفَنَاءِ, that you inform your heart, that is, it has to perish. Somehow, this life over here, it's not going to be forever. So you have to make your heart understand that this is the life that we are in. It is fani and it is short-lived. وَأَسْكِنْهُ بِالْخَشْيَةِ, and then you station your heart with fear of the Almighty God. وَأَشْعِرْهُ بِالصَّبْرِ, that is, you clothe your heart, you cover your heart. Ash'irhu means the vest that we wear under our garment. So says that you cover your heart with sabr, with patience. That is the nearest part to your heart should be that patience. Just like the vest, which is the nearest clothing that we wear, which is to our skin, the nearest. وَبَصِّرْهُ فَجَايَعَ الدُّنْيَا, that is, you show to your heart all of these unfoldings and these horrors that unfold in this world. وَحَذِّرْهُ سَوْلَةَ الدَّهْرِ وَفُحْشَ تَقَلُّبِهِ وَتَقَلُّبَ اللَّيَالِ وَالْأَيَّامِ, and you show your heart all these changes that are taking place in the world, and how this night and day coming and going, and everyone, there is a change that is happening. So this heart has to be notified and informed and guided at all times. Now, one of the things that Amirulmomineen mentioned over here is that وَأَشْعِرْهُ وَذَلِّلْهُ بِذِكْرِ الْمَوْتِ, that is, you constantly remind your heart and disgrace it and teach them about death. That is, sooner or later every one of us and this heart of yours also has to leave this world behind, so that death has to be constantly reminded. If you've noticed in the past 3 days, throughout this beautiful wasiyyah of Amirulmomineen Ali alayhi salatu wassalam, we saw that it's an eye-opener, it's a window towards the hereafter. So all the focus of Amirulmomineen is towards the life after death. And it was mentioned repeatedly that all of the ahkam and the actions, whenever people they used to come and ask the Imam about, for example, about the sajdas in your prayers, about the Eid prayers, about the fast, and whatever the question was asked, somehow a window towards the akhirah was opened by the ma'asumeen alayhimus salam. Here also it's the same thing. Imam says ذَلِّلْهُ بِذِكْرِ الْمَوْتِ, that is, you tame your heart by reminding it of the death, that it has to leave here. And قَرِّرْهُ بِالْفَنَاءِ, that you strengthen that belief system in your heart, that it has to leave behind everything. وَأَسْكِنْهُ بِالْخَشْيَةِ وَأَشْعِرْهُ بِالصَّبْرِ. Then Imam says, you cover your heart, you clothe your heart with patience. That is, how do you clothe your heart with patience? When you look into Quran, there the Almighty says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu isbiru wa sabiru wa rabitu wattaqullah la'allakum tuflihun. O you who believe, be patient, stand firm, and close ranks, and be God-wary, so that you will be prosperous. So here the importance to Sabr has been mentioned in the Wasiyyat and also in loads of ayat of Quran, that patience is important. Now patience is important in all the wajibat. Patience is important, is required in the keeping the sins away, and patience is required in our day-to-day life. So patience in wajibat, so performing prayers, it takes time, it takes effort, it needs sabr. The heart would be inviting to something else, but then dragging it back towards this worship and standing in worship, that requires patience. Or there are these temptations towards sinning and towards wrong. That too, patience is required to put a break on it, to put a halt on it. And also in our day-to-day life that we live in, all these different kinds of people that we have around us, and some of them getting on nerves, you need patience over there as well. So patience is required in wajibat, in tarke muharramat, and also in dealing with one another. Now, one of the hadiths that we have, it's a hadith al-Qudsi. One of the applicables of this patience is this fast that we observe. That in Quran, when it is mentioned that Ista'inu bis sabri was salat, Ista'inu means get help. Bis sabri means from patience, was salat means prayers. So you get help from prayers and you get help from fast. So how do you get help from prayers and fast? Here, fast means the fasting of the month of Ramadan. So if you have any problem, if you want any hajat, if you want any wish to be granted, there you offer a few rakat of prayers, you observe some fasts, and then whatever you want, you ask, Allah will give you. In this month of Ramadan, it's the month of fasting, and also prayers are there. So there when he says that whatever you ask in this month, it is mustajab, it is granted, it is because of this month of prayer. It is this month of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. And when a person is fasting, his mouth is not fresh, he has that bad breath. There was a time when Prophet Musa, who is Kalimullah, who spoke to Allah, for a time he did not speak, he put a halt. Allah says to Prophet Musa that, Ya Musa, ma yamna'uka min munajati, what stops you, what is the hindrance that you don't come and talk to me? فقال يا رب أجلك عن مناجاتي لخلوف فم الصائم. That the reason why I have delayed these munajat and speaking to you, it's because of the bad breath I have, because I'm fasting and my mouth is not fresh. Here the Almighty Allah, He speaks to Prophet Musa and says, لَخُلُوفُ فَمِ الصَّائِمِ أَطْيَبُ عِنْدِي مِنْ رِيحِ الْمِسْكِ, says that this smell of your mouth or the saliva of yours whilst you are fasting before me is much more fragrance than musk, much better than musk. So that is Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, the Lord of the universe, the creator of mankind. He says and gives such a lofty rank to this fast and everything that is connected and related to fast. So here Amirulmomineen says, Ash'airahu bis sabr, that is, you clothe your heart with patience, cover it with patience. Patience also, you need to be steadfast, you need to be firm, you need to have hope in the Almighty God to be patient. And then this fast also, the Prophet, he says, Sumu tasihhu, you fast and you will get, it is good for you, your well-being. So it's for your sahat also, this fast is good. Just was seeing one of these articles from one of the Japanese scientists. He says that the wear and tear that takes place in the human body, nothing can repair it but the fasts that Muslims they observe. That is the only way all the wear and tear in the human body is repaired annually and the human is back on track. So all these barakat are there from the merciful God for this fast that we observe. Now, when we look into the ayat of Quran and the importance of patience, says the reason why the Imams were chosen and selected to this designation and rank of Imamat, says وَجَعَلْنَا مِنْهُمْ أَئِمَّةً يَهْدُونَ بِأَمْرِنَا لَمَّا صَبَرُوا وَكَانُوا بِآيَاتِنَا يُوقِنُونَ. That when they had been patient and had conviction in our signs, we appointed them again as an Imam. So the reason why the Imams were chosen an Imam was for their patience. Lamma sabaru, because they observed and they exercised patience. وَجَعَلْنَا مِنْهُمْ يَهْدُونَ بِأَمْرِنَا لَمَّا sabaru. So patience, it was the patience that, for this patience also, now the other applicable of this sabr is patience. Ista'inu bis sabri was salat. So sabr has been explained as fast in riwayat. Salat is understood as salat, prayers. So for this salat that you, the patience that you, sorry, for this for this sabr that you observe in the month of Ramadan, Allah says as-sawmu li, that is fast is for me and I will reward. Doesn't say as-salatu li, doesn't say al-hajju li, az-zakatu li, never. But for fast he has said as-sawmu li, that fasting is for me and I am the reward, or I will pay the reward for fasting. Now whatever we have, it is all perishable, nothing will remain. But that what is connected and to Allah wa ta'ala, that is what will remain. So amal, the actions that we do, if it remains, it is because it is connected to Allah wa ta'ala. For the fast, He will reward. And how much of a reward will He give? In another ayah says, وَلَنَجْزِيَنَّ الَّذِينَ صَبَرُوا أَجْرَهُمْ بِأَحْسَنِ مَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. That is, we will reward those who are patient, a reward much better than whatever they can, what they have done. So the reward is going to be far better than the action itself. That is because of that patience, because of that sabr that they exercised. وَلَنَجْزِيَنَّ الَّذِينَ صَبَرُوا أَجْرَهُمْ أُولَٰئِكَ يُؤْتُونَ أَجْرَهُمْ مَرَّتَيْنِ. Now elsewhere he says that for this patience, the reward that he would give is not one, it's double the reward. Two shares of reward will be given for exercising and practicing this patience. بِمَا صَبَرُوا وَيَدْرَؤُونَ بِالْحَسَنَةِ السَّيِّئَةِ مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. So patience is important, and with this patience everyone gets to wherever he wants. One of the ulama, his name is Marhum Sayyid Ibrahim, living in Marhum Sayyid Ibrahim. He was living away from Karbala. He has a dream, and then Amirulmomineen Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, he says to him, I want you to go and settle down in Karbala. He says, I woke up, and as I interpreted for myself that dreams, they are not an evidence, so it is not binding on me to act in accordance to what I saw in the dream. So the dreams, if the prophets had them, they have to abide by whatever was shown to them in their dreams. As for us, you and me, a dream, it is not hujjah, it is not an evidence, it is not an argument. So it is not binding. Says, with that mindset that Amirulmomineen said to me, go and settle down in Karbala, I said, dream, it is not a hujjat, so I don't abide by the dream. Says, the next day Amirulmomineen said to me, did I not tell you yesterday to go and settle down in Karbala? The second day also with the same answer, that dream is not a hujjat, I did not give notice to that dream. The third day Imam was a bit sharp here. Says that, did I not tell you to go and settle down in Karbala? He comes and moves to Karbala, settles down there, and becomes one of the famous and the most renowned ulama there at that time. There was a thug or a fake alim there who wanted to cause nuisance for this Sayyid Ibrahim, And with the thugs in town, he comes there and he causes nuisance, stops his lessons and says that why don't you come and join a lesson here with this Sayyid, that is that paid puppet who was working against Sayyid Ibrahim. He says, no, I'm fine wherever I am, I don't need anyone. So these thugs, they come to Sayyid Ibrahim and they say that we want you to wind up and leave this place, or else we are going to make a hell here for you and your living. He says that he continued with his day-to-day tasks and continues with all his activity, but then these thugs, they couldn't let him live in Karbala. He left Karbala, he comes to Qazimain, settles down in Qazimain, and a day the Hakim, the ruler of Karbala, he got this thug and that alim who had stood against Sayyid Ibrahim and got them arrested. They were all being taken towards the prisons, and from there to be punished. He says, what is this caravan for? Sayyid Ibrahim, the person who was ousted from Karbala, says, what is this caravan? They say it's the caravan of all those thugs and that alim who had stood against you and who were causing all that nuisance. Says, where are they being taken to? Says, to be punished. He says that, quickly writes a note to the governor there that I want them to be freed, and especially that alim who was causing all the nuisance for me. And his request was honored because he's one of the greatest of the alims of his time. And then they say that is that sabr and the patience of this great personality who moved to Karbala, who settled down, and then who was made to leave the town because of those thugs and that person, but then he brings him back and frees them from that punishment. These are those people who are trained by the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. That is, for their own personal reasons, they forgive whosoever they want, and that is the training of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. أُولَٰئِكَ يُؤْتُونَ أَجْرَهُمْ مَرَّتَيْنِ بِمَا صَبَرُوا. In Quran, the Almighty says, those who are patient, for the patience they exercise, they will be given the reward not once but twice. And Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, He is that merciful who gives that much of a reward. Amirulmomineen here says, Ash'airhu bis sabr, that is, you clothe and cover your heart with patience. Or elsewhere says, Ij'al sabra sha'aran lah, that is, the slogan of your heart should be patience, should be sabr. So in this part of the Wasiyyah, Imam, he emphasizes towards being patient and towards all these different phases of the heart, and now says, قُلْ سِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَانْظُرُوا كَيْفَ كَانَ عَاقِبَةُ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِ. That is when it talked about the importance of death, and then how this heart has to be trained and shown the realities, the facts of the bygones, that they also came to this world, they also lived here, and they also have departed. Imam says that you show your heart all of that what has unfolded in this world. There have been people who came, who stepped in, and they departed, they left. أَيْنَ الْمُلُوكُ وَأَبْنَاءُ الْمُلُوكِ, where are all those rulers and their descendants? They came, they ruled, they departed. Nothing, no one remained. Says the heart has to constantly, you have to share this information with the heart, that it doesn't become wild. So the heart has to be tamed, Amirulmomineen says, by these different ways. And then says, وَعْرِضْ عَلَيْهِ أَخْبَارَ الْمَاضِينَ, that is, you give the news of the bygones to your heart. ذَكِّرْهُ بِمَا أَصَابَ مَنْ كَانَ قَبْلَكَ, you remind your heart of all those people who were before you, that they also came, they also went. Now that what has remained is a grave for those people. وَسِرْ فِي دِيَارِهِمْ, Imam says, you go and travel, go and see the history, the historical facts and historical monuments, historical remains. وَسِرْ فِي دِيَارِهِمْ وَاعْتَبِرْ آثَارَهُمْ, look at all those effects that have remained. That should be an ibra, a lesson for you. وَانْظُرْ مَا فَعَلُوا وَأَيْنَ حَلُّوا وَنَزَلُوا, Go see what they did, go see where they have ended, and go and see where they have ended up in that grave. So everyone is moving towards fana. Imam says, this heart of yours, you have to tame it. Taming the heart is by these reminders you give to the heart that it is perishable, it is going towards fana. No baqa, no eternity, no duration, no permanent duration in this world. This world is a place to be short-lived, and then says, you tell your heart all those bygones who came here, and then you also go and see their places of where they lived, where they dwelt. وانظر ما فعلوا وأين حلوا ونزلوا وعمن انتقلوا, and go and see where did they arrive, where did they arrive at. That is, from Allah they came and they went back to Allah. أين انتقلوا فإنك تجدهم قد انتقلوا عن الأحبة وحلوا دار الغربة. You would see that all of them, they have separated from their loved ones, and they have all joined a house of loneliness, Darul Ghurba. So from all these loved ones, from this social lifestyle that they had, now they've gone back to a solo, an isolated lifestyle where he himself has to be there with his own actions and no one else. Darul Ghurba. وَكَأَنَّكَ عَنْ قَلِيلٍ قَدْ سِرْتَ كَأَحَدِهِمْ. And Imam says to Imam Mujtaba, his son, that very soon you, Hassan, you also will be one of them. كَأَحَدِهِمْ فَاصْلِحْ مَثْوَاكَ وَلَا تَبِعُ آخِرَتَكَ بِدُنْيَاكَ. Says, fix your life, fix your world, and don't sell your akhirah to your dunya. So beautiful sayings that Imam has for his son, and this is for the message to get to us, that this dunya, we shouldn't be selling it for that akhirah. The price tag that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala has set for every human being is the heaven. Says, the price of yours is the heaven. So if you do wrong and then there is a price slash in you, the loss you will sustain, because you are the one who will be the loser. The price was the heaven initially, but because of excessive sinnings and wrong that I have done, that price has dropped down now. Now when the price has dropped down, no one is going to buy that product. So the one who is going to be a loser, it's myself. So Imam says, be cautious, be careful of your endeavors, of your activity, of what you do. Was the lilhu bil fana, that is, you tame your heart and constantly reminded that it has to depart from this world sooner or later. Now, one of the things that helps us in this journey that we are in are the sayings of Ma'asumeen alayhimus salam. One of the beautiful du'as that we have for this sacred month of Ramadan, it's Du'a Abu Hamza. And it's the first few days of the month, and we've got 25 days left. So try to somehow get connected or familiarize with this dua. It's a beautiful dua. And the nights also nowadays, they're not so short like the previous years. They are slightly sensible. So we have got a few hours of night. And if you wake up or stay back before your sahari, you stay up and somehow occupy in worship, because that dua Abu Hamza is dua Sahar by Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, one of the lengthiest of duas that we have. Now it's easy for you in all these different formats that you have online, in whatever language you want, the translation of that is also available. Try to listen to some parts of that dua, or if you can, and if you are occupying in worship and prayers, you can play that dua and then you are in your qunut or whatever, and you can also do it, continue with your prayers listening to that dua, and also try to understand what the English, that what the Imam is asking the Almighty. Now the conversation Imam teaches us with Allah, it's all logical. May that be Imam Sajjad, may that be Amirulmomineen, May that be the Prophet or the Imams at large, all of them. This package of Noor that Allah has sent for our guidance, their statements are amazing. It's like the ayat of Quran that were revealed by Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. It's the same thing because it's the same Prophet. Ma yantiqu anil hawa. He doesn't speak out of his own desire. Whatever he says, it's revelation and wahi. Ma'asumeen also are like that. In this dua, now I'm just reading the few sentences towards the end of the dua. Imam says, Ilahi wa Sayyidi wa Izzatika wa Jalalik, by your, O my Lord, my Master, by your dignity, by your might. لَإِن طَالَبْتَنِي بِذُنُوبِي لَأُطَالِبَنَّكَ بِعَفْوِكَ. God, if you hold on to me, or if you hold me for the wrong that I have done, for my sins, I will also seek you by your forgiveness, your afwa. وَلَئِن طَالَبْتَنِي بِاللُّؤْمِ لَأُطَالِبَنَّكَ بِكَرَمِكَ. If you hold me for all the wrong that I have done, I will also hold you by your karam, by your generosity. وَلَئِنْ أَدْخَلْتَنِ النَّارِ لَأُخْبِرَنَّ أَهْلَ النَّارِ بِحُبِّي لَكَ. God, if you put me in the fire, I will definitely inform the inmates of the fire that I loved you. وَإِن كُنْتَ, then Imam says to the Almighty, وَإِلَهِي وَسَيِّدِي إِن كُنْتَ لَا تَغْفِرُ إِلَّا لِأَوْلِيَائِكَ وَأَهْلِ طَاعَتِكَ فَإِلَى مَنْ يَفْزَعُ الْمُذْنِبُونَ. Says God, if you were not to forgive the wrongdoers, and if you were to forgive only those who were obedient to you, then where do the wrongdoers go? If your special grace is going to be only for those who are obedient, for those who are good, then where do the wrongdoers go? And then Imam says to the Almighty, Ilahi, in adkhaltani an-nar fafi dhalika as-sururu aduwwik. God, if you made me enter the fire, your enemies will be happy. وَإِنْ أَدْخَلْتَنِ الْجَنَّةَ فَفِي ذَلِكَ السُّرُورُ نَبِيِّكَ. If you entered me into the heaven, your Prophet, your Habib is going to be happy. وَأَنَا وَاللَّهِ أَعْلَمُ أَنَّ سُرُورَ نَبِيِّكَ أَحَبُّ إِلَيْكَ مِنْ سُرُورِ عَدُوِّكَ. And by God, I know that for you, O Lord, the joy of your Prophet is far better than the joy of your enemies. And then he says, Allahumma inni as'aluka an tamla'a qalbi hubban lak. God, you fill my heart with your love, with your fear, and that I admit you, and that I accept you, I embrace to you, and give me an iman, wa faraqan mink, and then disassociation from everything who is not with you, wa shawqan ilayk. Allah, give me an enthusiasm that brings me to you. Ya Dhal Jalali wal Ikram, O Lord the Mighty, the Generous, Habib ilayya liqa'ak. That Allah make this meeting, you beloved before me. Wa ahbib liqa'i, and this meeting of mine with you also make it very joyous and very lovely. وَاجْعَلْ لِي فِي لِقَائِكَ الرَّاحَةَ وَالْفَرَجَ وَالْكَرَامَةَ. And in this meeting that I would have with you, God, make it easy, make it joyous, make it which is full of generosity and which relieves. So this meeting with Allah, it's that death that make it, Allah, the sweetest moment of our life. So Imam talks so loud about the heart, and at this point of the heart he says that all these different commands that he gives that you need to observe for your heart be observed, and that is, you tame your heart, you teach your heart, you enlighten your heart, you brighten your heart, and then you you disgrace your heart, and then you with certainty and yaqeen that it has, you need to strengthen your heart as well. So وَأَحْيِ قَلْبَكَ بِالْمَوْعِظَةِ, and until the end of that wasiyah of Amirulmomineen. Ya Allah, between us, Quran, and Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, never ever come across a moment of separation. These golden words and sayings of Ma'asumeen, Allah, make us understand them, practice them, apply them onto our day-to-day life. Ya Allah, our children to be enlisted among the best of Muslims. There are many who have requested for du'as. All what they want be granted to them. And all those who have passed away, forgive them, elevate their ranks. Those who are ill and ailing, Allah, grant them shifa. وسبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.